All right, welcome educators and representatives for joining us for this year's Information and Communication Technology Advisory Board. I'm going to move that all the way down. Okay. All right, we are so happy to have you all on Friday, November 4th. For a quick introduction, if you're just now joining us in the room, please do mute yourselves. I understand some representatives are ending class or switching into meetings or from meetings. Also for check-in purposes, this helps with your district or administrators. Please list your first and last name in the chat, along with your title and the name of your school or school district that you work with. The check-in and sign-in information is shared with your district so they can mark off that you attended this advisory board. Again, please do so in the chat as soon as possible. And then for your name frame, so for example, where you see my name along with VitaLink, please make sure that we can see your first and last name. We do encourage digital networking so that we can message with other educators and industry professionals that are also joining us. And then if you do need any assistance in changing your name in your frame, you can hover over the participant icon. You might see that at the bottom of your screen. And then you should see, as you hover over your name, the word more and then rename. And again, please do mute yourself upon entry. And be sure to check in. All right. And then for today's itinerary, we're going to share a brief update on what VitaLink has in store for you all. We do have a great conversation with the college panel today. A couple of representatives are going to share about what's going on for your high schoolers at their college and how that information will help your colleges, will help you all update your curriculum to match the colleges. And then we'll take a quick 10-minute break and transition into the industry panel discussion. And then we will also have what's new, a review from OCC. They're going to review some questions and hopefully gain some information as well from the industry professionals. And then at the end, we will share the ICT Advisory Board evaluation. And first, before we go over what's new with VitaLink, I do want to introduce, if you all have not met her, our new VitaLink president.
Hello, thank you, Ari. Yes, my name is April Barnes. I don't feel new so much anymore, but I guess it's still about 8 months in, so new-ish. But if I haven't met you yet, thank you so much for coming today. We hope there'll be a great conversation, a lot of great people on the call. So feel free to ask questions and enjoy. Thank you. Hope you're staying warm on this chilly November weekend. So thank you so much for being here.
Perfect. Thank you, April. Share. All right. And then additionally with VitaLink, if you have not heard yet, we have an entirely new website with everything being just one click away. This has been truly beneficial, as I've heard from different industry and educators who are partnered with us. Our goal, of course, is to continually help students, that's elementary through college, achieve and identify their future careers through our hands-on opportunities. And for some new events that we actually have coming up, some of you may remember, and some of this may be new to you all, but we do have our Student Leadership Summit. We are officially back in person. That is on Wednesday, November 30th, and it will be at the Delta Hotel in Garden Grove. This is not only for high schoolers. I do want to point that out, that this opportunity is open for college students as well. So if any of you are interested, please feel free to email me. I can forward this flyer to you. And then, of course, if you do have any questions that you would like to review, I am available to meet on a brief Zoom call. This opportunity will include hands-on activities for your students to learn more about the skills needed to be successful after they graduate high school and college. They will have an opportunity to meet and network with industry professionals and gain those specific skills needed to be successful. All right. And then I'm now going to hand it over to our moderator, Mr. Zachary Hill, with Talent Tomorrow, or sorry, Tomorrow's Talent. And then I'm going to ask the college representatives, Mr. Stephen Deely with Santiago Canyon College and Dr. Brandon Brown from Coastline College to please turn your cameras on. I will ask the other representatives to please turn your cameras off, and please be sure to mute yourself. This will help us highlight the speakers during the college panel session. And if you have not already done so, please remember to mute yourself. This will help us highlight and keep an ear on for the college panel. And then do we have Zachary with us? Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. Like I was introduced, my name is Zachary Hill, and I'm the Chief of Staff over at Tomorrow's Talent, where we bridge education to workforce. But I'm happy to be here tonight and to lead the college panel. So if we can start, please, with both of my panel members here, giving us our introduction, your name, your title, the college you're from, and also a brief summary about, your department or the courses or the offerings you have. We can start with Dr. Brown.
Sure. Hi, Brandon. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love doing these panels. Dr. Brandon Brown, full-time faculty at Coastline College in Orange County. A little bit about our college. We offer several degrees and certificates in cybersecurity, computer service technology, and computer information systems. Also, digital graphic arts. We're really focused in on cybersecurity, especially in our digital forensics and incident response program. And we are pivoting to cloud computing with a high focus on Amazon Web Services, with a little bit of Google Cloud and Microsoft Azure mixed in. So what we try to focus on with our students is not just have them in the classroom, but we've made a real big push to get them into extracurricular activities, to include our cyber club exploit, which meets virtually every week. Next semester, we're going to go back to that being hybrid, where we have both in-person and virtual simultaneously. And what I've really pushed is our competition teams. So we right now have not one, not two, but 4 separate competition teams that are competing in the National Cyber League, the Collegiate Pen Testing Competition, CCDC and the Western Region, and also other regional CTFs, like the SoCal Cyber Cup, which we are the defending champions of. Yay! We are taking our CPTC team up to Stanford in 2 weeks. We are one of only 2 community colleges that made the finals for the Western region, so we're really excited about that.
Thank you, Brandon. That's exciting. It's great to hear about all that competitiveness going on. Good to see that fire. Yeah. And Stephen.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Stephen Deely. I'm the department chair for both business and computer science at Santiago Canyon College in Orange. And just to be clear, I'm not a subject matter expert in the computer area, but they do fall under my jurisdiction. And really the last few years, as I know everybody's had a lot of challenges when it comes to staffing and things like that. But between COVID, multiple retirements, and I don't know how many college presidents in the last few years, we've been running our computer science program entirely with adjuncts for the last 3 years. Hopefully that'll be changing very soon and we can move forward. So to be honest, we really just focused on making sure we delivered the core classes that students needed to transfer, the courses in programming and things of that nature, and then adding a couple other programming languages. So that's kind of what we've been doing. We really have, it's almost like we have like an In-N-Out burger menu right now. It's fairly limited, but hopefully, sorry, and I'm sure everybody else found the same thing. Staffing's been a real challenge, for these courses, but they'll be able to come on board and direct that program with a little bit more clarity. And the one we really want to bring back, because we had an outstanding robotics program that did very well in some competitions, and I need someone to run that. And we have quite a bit of equipment to do that. So hopefully we get that back up and running again. But for now, it's mostly just focusing on those core classes.
That's great. Yeah, and I think that really highlights the kind of broader need for more professionals in the industry, right? If we can't get the teachers, we definitely can't get all the professionals we need in cyber. So definitely a big need to train more. So then looking at, the students that you have coming in, your incoming freshmen, do you notice an improvement in their knowledge or their skills from dual enrollment courses happening? Are you noticing more students coming in who have maybe touched on college already?
I'm going to be really honest with you. The students that we have that are in dual enrollment in our courses, they're the students that are already in, AP Calculus, AP English, AP XYZ, right? They're going on to a 4-year. What we try to do in our dual enrollment classes is to broaden their skill set and expose them to cyber. Expose them to computer technology, so that if they look at other career fields than typically students look at coming right out of high school, because there is such a high demand in the cyber field. And it also allows us to try to do outreach to students that might not want to go to a 4-year college, that might want to jump, straight into the workforce. There's a lot of really smart kids out there that can do that. So that's kind of what we focus our dual enrollment on, is more outreach and broadening the horizon, especially those talented students.
Yeah, that's great. Really some career discovery. Stephen, have you noticed, I know you were saying this wasn't specifically your purview, but have you noticed any?
Well, we also have them in the business area, and I think we run into some of the same thing. Exactly what Brandon was saying is a lot of times either the students who are moving on, they're, for whatever reasons, they're racking up units and saving money, to be honest, so they can have that going when they get over to the 4-year school. I know one thing I find it's interesting with the ones that we have done with the computer science folks, it's just the entry-level programming classes needed for transfer, is that a lot of the students taking those, I don't know how to word this, and I'm fine, it's nice, is just that they're not afraid of technology, but they're not nearly as adept maybe as they think they are, because when you take them back into an introductory programming class, you're kind of learning all that from scratch. And the coding and things like that, and a lot of the things that they've been working with elsewhere is much more of a drag and drop nature. And so I think they feel like, I already know this stuff, but then they get in there and they don't sometimes. So, which makes it a good experience, and then you can kind of figure out, from there, if that is the right place for you to go. But that's one, like I said, that's one nice thing I think we do get now is people are not afraid to use the technology. Sometimes even myself, I'm like, I don't want to do that, I'm going to hurt, and they have no qualms about diving right in. So since they grew up with it.
Right. And then, with that in mind, with that idea, do you see any way high school educators can update their curriculum to better prepare students for college?
With not knowing this, to be honest, not knowing the specifics on the computer science side, I'm not sure, what they're using, not using, things of that nature over there.
And then we actually had a question.
I don't always feel like it's the curriculum sometimes, with students coming in. I think it's just, I feel like they need to also just, and those are questions for down the road, but it's like learn how to be a college student. It's different than being a high school student. You're going from where your class met every day or almost every day, right, on a regular schedule, regular check-ins, regular assignments, to you're suddenly taking a course with someone, especially, I know we do a lot of this with the computer science. It maybe meets once a week for a 3 or 4 hour block, or something of that nature. And people aren't checking up on you for your assignments and some of those things. So I think that's one thing, is kind of helping them, transition into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's broadening, because like high school, college is changing a little bit. You have to get involved in extracurriculars. And I'm not talking sports. Sports is great, sports is wonderful, but coming into this profession, into the greater technology professions, you have to get involved in competitions, internships, externships, apprenticeships. I'm also an adjunct at a Cal State, and unfortunately, I have students that graduate with a 4-year degree that end up back at community college within 2 years, because they didn't do those things in college, and they have some hard times trying to nail down that job in technology, in cyber, because they don't have that practical experience that they can put on your resume. Yes, they have a 4-year degree, but employers are looking for hands-on experience of these students, whether they're coming out of high school, coming out of community college, or coming out of a 4-year university. That's what's driving them, and that's what's driving salaries up as well.
Yeah, I think definitely, and we're seeing that pretty much across the board. I believe the statistic right now is that 55% of bachelor's degree holders wind up underemployed after graduating. So we're definitely seeing a lot of people going back to school after. We did have a more specific question in chat asking what specific, programming languages might you want to see from high school students coming into the programs.
I'm going to let Steven take that because he's a computer science guy, and then I'll
actually not, but okay, I've had to do enough of it. Well, I know that our core programming classes are C++, and then we do the things that we're, and obviously Java. And the one we hear more and more, I think, obviously is Python. Those would be the three. And any more detailed questions than that, I'm going to have to call one of my adjuncts up.
Yeah. So there's two schools of thoughts here, and it's really interesting because the high school programs, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, have not caught up to in the CTE area. They're focusing on computer science. They're pushing computer science, which is lovely. Okay. And that's great for transfers who go into a 4-year at any UC, at any Cal State. They all have computer science programs. Our program at Coastline is computer information systems, business, and cybersecurity related. That's where a lot of the job demand is. You don't have to have a whole lot of programming knowledge for that area. Python is what we push, right? Python is very important. Beyond that, when you're looking at C++ or Java or any other traditional languages, that's when you're going into developer positions and developer careers, which is great, but that's not our focus at Coastline.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So that's really a broader skill set than they need specifically to jump into entry level. And then I've got two here that are pretty related, so I'll ask them and let you guys kind of talk it through as one. But the two questions are, one, what real world experiences are you offering? Because like you both said, those internships or apprenticeships, getting those hands-on hours is the trick to being hired. And then also, I know in the cybersecurity world, it's really significant. What certifications can they earn while they're there? And how long does it take to get that?
Okay. Well, we have an apprenticeship program at Coastline. It's the California Cybersecurity Apprenticeship Program. We actually now have 3 separate tracks in it. So we have a traditional cybersecurity track where you take a number of classes, and we don't promise you a job. You still have to go out and look for a job, but we will help you and bend over backwards to help you get a position somewhere. And we do partner with several employers. There are minimums to hourly rates. So you don't start off at $15 or $16 an hour. You start off more closer to $22, $24 an hour in this profession. We have a limited number of seats for that every year. We only really start it in the summertime for a fall start. It's an entire application process that you have to go through. What you really need to have students, in my opinion, do outside of the classroom or within the classroom is work on their soft skills. going back to the certifications, I'm sorry, I got off track there. I'm reading ahead question ahead. We offer vouchers through CompTIA, Cisco Systems, and AWS. So if you take our AWS Architect Associate class, right? That exam is $150. You take it, you buy it, you come and register for the class for $148 at Coastline. If you're a California resident, you get the voucher to go take the test for free. And you get to spend 16 weeks basically studying for that exam. So, and we have similar things with all the major CompTIA certifications as well.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So at Santiago Canyon, we have a much smaller internship and work experience program, but we do have that for, business computer science areas. We are in a program and we actually administer it with our sister college, Santa Ana. They were kind of the ones that pioneered it and got it started, and we're just piggybacking on that, where they have, they're directly linked up with Amazon for an internship. They've been trying to hire some students. I'm trying to remember how they worded it, but I think it was they said from some non-traditional backgrounds, into the tech field. And we've placed a couple students there. As far as the second question, right now, and again, this goes back to my staffing issues, we do not have any certification or badges. The courses, the standard courses we're offering are all the programming classes required for transfer and the transfer degree.
Yeah, as far as badges go, we don't have any badges yet. But the funny thing, I have 2 students that are working on this out of the Cyber Club. They're setting up their own digital badge for different workshops that they're doing through the club and the competition teams. In my opinion, badges are great. They're a nice, thing to put on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile. My experience, employers look for the certifications because those are industry specific or provider specific, and they have a longer track record.
Yeah, they definitely carry a bit more clout than the badges do. Definitely. So then the next one was actually thinking about one of the kind of post-COVID changes here. How do you think online courses and the ability to offer virtually to students, how has that changed the environment? Do you think it's enhanced it?
I'll let Stephen go first.
That's a huge, everybody here, could chime in on how that's, taken place. Even before we hit the road for COVID, so to speak, in March of 2020, we were already offering a significant portion of classes in my area, whether it was business or computer science and CIS, were offered, fully online in a hybrid format, something like that. We were already doing some of that. So when the wave hit us, it didn't hit us nearly as hard as some other departments on our campuses. The sciences was really tough for them, and things of that nature. So I think in some ways it changed things. It is a challenge to engage students sometimes in an online class or whether you're doing it. We still offer, we call it remote live, where it's the Zoom lectures, and things of that nature. And so engaging the students sometimes is more of a challenge, and you have to do some different things. And I know believe me, hats off to everybody here, because it was hard enough with college students. I cannot imagine what that was like with high school students, and even speaking to friends, like, how did you do this with third graders? Like, what the heck? But I will tell you, so on one hand, engaging students and doing things like that, I think has been a challenge, and you have to just figure out other ways to do it. And you know what? Everybody's gotten better over time, including the students. I think some pluses for us too, as instructors. I know some of my adjuncts like to be able to do that because now they can teach back-to-back classes at different schools, and they don't have to worry about running anybody off the road trying to drive to another college to teach another class. And I think students like those options. And I'm sure it's a challenge right now getting people back on campus because they have options. you know, and it's relatively easy to move between community colleges to fit your schedule versus, you know, once you're at a four-year school, you're kind of locked in there. You know, if you're at Fullerton, you can't go, hey, there's a class at Long Beach that fits my schedule, but nope, you're going to Fullerton. And that sort of thing. I think as instructors, one of the things it's done is we had to create so much content to work in the online classes that now that's available to students. And I know one thing with the folks that are teaching the heavy duty programming classes have told me the students really like is they've now got and I think this works really well in math too. They now have volumes of video lectures that the students can go back and watch. And sometimes, you know, working through the problems and things like that, some people just need that extra, you know, almost like a tutorial, you know, to help them out. And so I think that's been a big plus as well. But on the other hand, I think it was just fall, I finally put some classes back on campus in this particular area. Like I said, I've been having a little trouble getting people to, you know, just available to teach them. And I had multiple sections completely full when we started the semester. And I didn't even have an instructor's name on there because it was, you know, to the wire to hire someone, and they're all full. So, you know, and I think honestly, I think that's a better structure, especially for our traditional age college students. I think having that structure is so important there. So I don't know, I know I danced around that a little bit, but that's what I can tell you.
It's interesting because Coastline has always been a distance learning school, you know, since we were founded in the mid 70s. So COVID did not affect us nearly as bad, especially in the CTE areas, as I think it did some other colleges. But in sitting in our academic senate this past week, our VPI gave us some statistics. And I was kind of flabbergasted. So we were one college in a 3-college district, and I know I have some colleagues here from Orange Coast. You know, one of the colleges actually is down enrollment this semester. Another one is about flat. We are actually up 18%, according to them. So a lot of that is students are coming back. They're coming back online. I think you're going to see, especially with the Zoomers, since they had this experience in high school, they're just going to continue it in college. Another anecdotal observation, I teach a couple of classes online at Cal Poly Pomona, and you know, I teach 2 sections of one class and another professor teaches 2 sections of another class. We just went through enrollment. Both my classes are full and waitlisted. They're online. His are in person and are at about 50%. So I think this trend online is not going to go away. This is the new normal.
Yeah, and like we were saying, like Stephen was saying, the options for students, right? As soon as that option's there, they're going to take it because it is preferable in some cases. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we've had a really good, solid panel so far. Thank you both so much. But we've got just a couple minutes left here to wrap up. And our 2 last questions are similar but different. The first one is, what 3 skills would you think high school teachers should make sure students build before going into college? And then the other one is, what advice do you have for high school educators preparing students for careers in this field? So,
interpersonal skills, interpersonal skills, interpersonal skills.
1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
Make sure that they can carry on an adult conversation. That is probably the most important thing that you can have them do. As far as exposing, what advice? Expose them to technology. Field trips, if you can do it. Get with some of the local companies that are out there. They would love to do field trips. They would love to entertain students and feed them lunch for a day, right? And show them how stuff works. Take them on data center tours. Get with, call AWS. AWS has all kinds of facilities in Orange County. They would love to talk to you and your students. So that's what I would do. And that also gets them excited about the career field. Form up cyber teams. If you're not playing Cyber Patriot, why are you not playing Cyber Patriot? If you are not playing NCL, because NCL now is down to the high school and even the middle school level, why are you not playing NCL? This will drive enthusiasms for the students and get them out of that mindset that some of their parents have instilled in their head of doctor, lawyer, engineer, which I come across too often.
Yeah, I agree. And Stephen, do you have any
I would
skills?
just continue to echo that. It doesn't matter what they're studying. I mean, I teach predominantly business, and the interpersonal skills is huge. And I think somebody just put a question up there. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, communication, there's a lot of I mean, that's a general education class, right? Interpersonal communications, so that people can do that. I think, like you said, joining groups and doing those kind of things where you're actively engaging helps a lot. So the interpersonal, I say that the communication skill, heck, I tell my students now, I'm like, you guys pick up the phone when you call an employer. You've already put yourself in the top 5% just by doing that, instead of sending out an email message or a text. So that, I also think working in groups is really important. I know it's a challenge, I'm going through it with the class right now. That's a virtual class, and I'm banging my head against the wall sometimes with these people getting to communicate. But everybody works in teams all the time. And I know there are frustrations that students have with that, workload and all communications and all those things. And it's even more challenging in a virtual environment. But guess what? We're all going to be, they're going to be working in those after. You don't get to go do stuff by yourself, usually at work. You're usually working with someone else. And I think the other challenge that I always like to point out is it's relative, not easy. It's harder now, but if I'm a manager and you're my employees, it's a little easier to get you to do something when I ask you because you'd like to keep your job. Whereas when you're working with your peers, that can be a real challenge. How do you motivate other people there? And the other thing I think too, and I don't know how to teach this, but I'm just thinking learning to have some focus, especially if you're going into these fields, you're going to be doing some really deep work that requires you to really focus in and work kind of uninterrupted and nonstop, and how to do that. And right now, because I know I'm guilty of this too, I got to put my phone in the other room and do things like that so that I can get through stuff. And then as far as advice, I think what would be really helpful is, and we need to do a better job of this too at the colleges, knowing what job opportunities are out there. What can I actually do with this? And also, how much money am I going to make? I know we're educators and educating is important, but I think we also know ultimately the reason people are probably going to school is to enhance their employment prospects, and knowing, roughly where that leads. And anecdotally, having a completely offline conversation with somebody whose son attends one of the other schools in Orange County. And she was explaining to me, she said, well, he really likes the computer stuff and the computer science, but he can't make any money doing that. And I thought, you are so misinformed right now. We need to have a chat. But somewhere along the line, they got some information that, maybe that wasn't a good field to go into for whatever reason. But I think because just having that knowledge and what it can possibly lead to, I think.
Can I tell a story real quick? And this just happened in the last 2 months. I had a student who just started. She's all of 19 years old. And she started in our apprenticeship program. Actually, I think she's 20 now, but she got onto our pen testing team. Out of the blue, she just put her resume together, put that she was on our pen testing team and in our cyber club, has not even taken a cyber class yet. She applied for a junior pen testing position and got it. She went from being basically an Uber and Lyft driver to making $85,000 a year. This field changes people's lives. And that's why I am teaching at a community college, because these are the stories I like to tell. I wish I had dozens more, and hopefully I will this year. But a lot of it is just being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people. But you have to get out there and network You have to get out there and put yourself out there. And I tell my students that all the time.
So I'm hearing the two big takeaways here are interpersonal skills and career discovery. Those appear to really be let the students know what's out there in this field for them, and then how to communicate their skills to the world and get that job. That sounds great. Well, I think that puts us right about at the right time here. Thank you both so much, gentlemen.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, thank you. And I think Aria can start us back up for the break.
Yes, thank you both so much. And thank you, Zachary, for leading this college panel. We truly appreciate your honesty and feedback. And I'm going to mark it as VitaLink will help with field trips. We just finished our entire manufacturing month with I believe 12 full tours. Over, I think 300 or 400 students were able to understand and gain some skills and knowledge for manufacturing. So we're also willing to do the same for ICT. This will now take us into a break. Please do not log off. We do have an awesome industry panel joining us. They're going to share in further detail about the skills needed specifically for this industry. So stay tuned for more, and we'll be back at 4:15. Thank you. All right, welcome back, educators and industry professionals. Thank you for joining us. We will now continue into the industry panel. I'm going to first welcome our moderator, Mr. Brian Anderson, who's the founder of Telecomprehensive Solutions. I'm also going to invite our industry professionals who will introduce themselves. We have Miss Natalie with Digital Mountaineers LLC, Christopher with Reflex Networking, William Van Dusen with ThinkTech, and Don Silverman, founder and director of the Optics Institute. For any other participants, if you can please mute yourselves as well as turn your camera off. This will help us highlighting the speakers during this session. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm glad to have you here. As Aria mentioned, my name is Brian Anderson. I am the founder of Telecomprehensive Solutions. We are a technology strategy firm focusing on small and medium-sized enterprises, helping them to align their technology strategies with the underlying technology services that they incorporate in their business. So we do broker over 800 technology service providers and do everything from network connectivity to advanced operations, analytics, cybersecurity, cloud hosting, and a wealth of other things. So I would like to take this opportunity now to do some introductions. And if we can go through our panel, let's go ahead and start with Dawn. But for each of you, if you can, just please tell us your name, your title, the company that you're with, and a brief summary about what your company does. That would be great. Dawn, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, I can't see myself here. There we are. So my name's Don Silverman. I founded the Optics Institute of Southern California in 2003. It was a part-time thing. I've been in industry for about 40 years. I retired a couple years ago. The industries I've been involved with are optics related, laser related, fiber optics, telecommunication, foundations, and fundamentals. So the Optics Institute is a nonprofit, and we organize to promote math, science, engineering education through the use of optics and related technologies and other phenomena. And our approach, education approach, has been hands-on, student-centered, engaging, and we always wanted to foster the curious scientists and the artful mathematicians and the creative engineering in every student, regardless of age. So we've worked with students from K through 12, community college, universities, and people in their professional careers at different levels in their careers, helping people find their particular place in the workforce primarily, but through education.
Fantastic. Great.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And most recently, I've been working in the quantum world because information and computer technology, communication technology is now using quantum science to advance the whole world. So that's what I hope to bring to all the people, anyone interested. I'm available for presentations, workshops, all kinds of good things. And typically there's no cost to the schools or the people involved.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Natalie, why don't we go ahead and have you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Brian. Hi, my name is Natalie Communis. I am the web content and social media manager over at Digital Mountaineers. Digital Mountaineers has always been and will always be a remote web design agency. We do web design and development, and we also do social media management for positive impact organizations. We work primarily with nonprofits, but our bracket of positive impact organization doesn't mean that you have to be a 501c3. You can be a coffee shop, as long as you believe that your business is something that is helping the world be in a better place than it is, then you qualify as a positive impact organization. And we offer deeply discounted services for those organizations. So our founder, Jordan Zarate, who is unable to be here today, he comes from a background in the nonprofit world and saw the need for a more impressive digital presence for nonprofits. But often nonprofits and other positive impact organizations are spread very thin and have overstretched budgets. And so their websites are the ones that suffer the most, when really their websites can help them find more resources. So that was the need that Jordan saw and founded Digital Mountaineers.
Well, fantastic. Welcome. Glad to have you. Mr. Nelson, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure thing, Brian. Good to see you. Hey, everyone. I'm Chris Nelson. I'm the founder and president at Reflex Networking. Reflex, we provide IT support and consulting services to small businesses mostly in the Southern California area. We qualify that as companies that are generally under about 250 seats. We have an active help desk, a security team, and IT engineers out in the field. And we provide some IT consulting.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. I'm glad to have you here, and your deep and impressive domain knowledge, especially in cybersecurity and communication technology. So we very much appreciate you. Will, go ahead and take a minute and introduce yourself. Who are you? Who are you with? And what do you guys do?
Hi, my name is William Van Dusen. I'm the CEO and founder of ThinkTech Incorporated. We're a managed service provider out here in Irvine, California, primarily servicing medium to large size enterprises. So organizations with about 100 seats or more, and more complicated setups, multiple sites or locations or territories that they deal with. We have about 25 engineers and staff right now that we work with on like a daily basis, and we have a full help desk, NOC, cybersecurity team, backups team, and a projects team as well. So very excited to be here and talk a little more about our industry with you guys.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. In case anyone has missed it, there is a note in there from the chat from Aria. Please go ahead and share your first and last name, the title and the school you're with, or the school district that you are with for each of our attendees. And for our panelists, when you do have a moment in between questions that you're actively answering, if you want to go ahead and drop your contact information into the chat so that that is available for all of our attendees, that would be helpful. Let's go ahead and dive into content just here a bit. First thing we want to know is a two-part question. We'll kind of go reverse order of what we did for the introduction. So we'll start with you. A two-part question is, does your company offer any internships, job shadowing, or volunteer opportunities for students to gain experience? And if you do, what is the age requirement?
Am I starting, Brian?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to have Will start off, but
okay.
That's okay, Don. If you're ready to go, you can go ahead and jump in.
Okay. So the answer is we have not done apprenticeships or internships yet because we don't have a facility and we don't hire people. But we do have the opportunity for volunteers, for students to volunteer to gain experience, and that can be done at their school. So I can come to their school. For example, the Samueli Academy, I've helped them start a club so they can learn about quantum cybersecurity and other types of quantum things that are going on in the real world. So doing introductions for that sort of thing. So if you're interested, and I've already got a couple of people interested on this call, so that's very good. I'd be happy to talk to you and help you in any way I can in this new advanced technology.
Fantastic. And let's go ahead and jump back then. Will, go ahead and let us know, do you have any internships, apprenticeships, job shadowing, or volunteer opportunities that students could take advantage? And if so, are there an age requirement in place?
Yeah, so we do have some opportunities available within our organization. Primarily, it's around either like the remote help desk support, which is kind of an entry-level role, like a level 1, we would consider it, which more or less consists of some Active Directory experience, just general like help desk inquiries for kind of making like a small or medium-sized business run. And the minimum age requirement for that is 18 years old.
Okay, great. And for those who aren't really familiar with the way that help desks are tiered, would you mind just kind of further drilling down just a little bit? Obviously, you know, that first line of help desk, you mentioned a little bit of Active Directory experience. What other types of programs might they need to have at least some background or familiarity with, and how much on-the-job training are you willing to provide in order to bring them up to speed to be effective at that level?
Yeah, so there's really 3 main levels in the industry. I have seen like a 4th level in some cases, depending on the organization. And I think at that point, if you're a level 4, you're kind of a stud. But overall, for most people trying to get their foot in the door, a level 1's a great position. Definitely for someone that has like the interest or kind of the spark or charisma to, you know, figure something out on their own, and just someone as well that's looking for a challenge. Those are kind of the main things we look for. The level 2 and 3, I would say there's not too much of a huge differentiation from those positions. The level 2 is more or less just someone that's a little more seasoned and has had, like, I would say at least 2 to 3 years of industry experience, and some kind of like field experience as well on the job. And then the level 3 would be for people who have been in the position, I would say 6 to 7+ years, and probably have a more focused area, whether it be like Cisco or networking, or systems development, or even cloud computing. That's where they really kind of take their career to the next level and excel at that point.
Sure. Yeah, and you may be able to, you know, verify or deny this, but in my experience, typically level 1 help desk is going to be, you know, basic problems like I'm having issues with my operating system not working correctly, you know, just scanning to make sure appropriate drivers are in place, maybe some basic, you know, Microsoft application troubleshooting, where tier 2 would be more in-depth on the application side, more in-depth on the hardware side, typically, and maybe some very basic networking. And then level 3s are generally going to be your, you know, DNS settings and diving deep into network configurations and how data is actually moving across an enterprise. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the level 3s are kind of, you know, the last line of defense, where the level 2s definitely get a little bit more of the majority of the work that gets handed off from the level 1s. But I definitely think that starting as a level 1, if, you know, there's the passion and the interest to figure things out on your own, it can be a very exciting career and place to be, especially for growth. There's a lot of learning opportunities and instances where you can kind of get yourself involved in the field and embark on new technologies, where I've even seen some level 3s that, you know, their learning process kind of ends at that point, just because they're a little more focused or specialized in something at that point.
Sure. And the second part of that question, is there any age requirement that you have as far as the bottom threshold for students that could come on and help with that level 1 technician spot?
Yeah, so only 18 years of age is our requirement. That's kind of an industry standard that we've seen. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, fantastic. And Chris, would you let us know whether your company has any internships, apprenticeships, do any job shadowing, or have any other opportunities for students to gain experience?
Yeah, we don't currently have any internships. We have in the past. We really haven't had anything since the COVID started. But we are considering it, particularly on a larger project basis, looking for interns that could assist with some of those larger projects. And people that could give us a hand. But we don't have an active internship position that we're looking to hire for, or I should say, fill at the moment. I guess we're not really hiring for an intern. So yeah, I guess no age. Our age limit would be 18 if we had one open.
Okay. And do you ever have any opportunities possibly to do any kind of like job shadowing where somebody might be able to, you know, schedule to send a student out to come through one of your field techs on site and kind of see what they do during the day?
No, not really. We have some pretty strict confidentiality agreements with our customers, generally speaking. But there is possibly opportunities for us to coordinate with one of our customers to, you know, perhaps tour a real environment and discuss some of the technology that's been implemented and why, and maybe give people the ability to see something in action and understand why the decisions were made, have some Q&A. We'd be more than happy to try and coordinate something like that.
Fantastic. Great. And Natalie, any you guys have as far as internship opportunities, job shadowing, or other career discovery opportunities? And if so, what is the age limit?
So no, we do not. That's a little difficult for us because we don't have a physical space, and because we have employees that work all around the world, our working office hours are not a traditional 8 to 5. So we don't have that available, but you know, you can always reach out to us. I'm going to put our email in the chat. So if there are any questions, we're happy to answer them. And I did see Pam asked me a question about web design. Yes, to all of those. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are all really fantastic. I would just add to that, our designers use Adobe as well for the artistic portion of showing our clients like what the website would look like prior to building it. So I would add in Adobe XD to that.
Fantastic. All right, great. And moving on then, let's go ahead and circle back. We'll start with Chris on this one. Chris, excuse me, 1 second. Would your company be interested in supporting local high schools' information and communication technology programs with apprenticeship opportunities? And if so, what type of horizon would you need, or what support might you need for districts in order to set that up?
All right, I'm not quite sure I heard the question 100% there, but it was, are we interested in supporting local high schools, and what was the follow-up part there?
With their information and communication technology programs with apprenticeship opportunities. Is that a type of job engagement that you may be interested in, either at this point or some point down the road, actually facilitating?
Maybe down the road. At this point, we're not taking on apprenticeships. Like I say, it'd probably be more of an internship that we would engage with at this point versus an apprenticeship. So I guess you know, we're definitely open to discussions, but we don't have any active roadmap for that at this point.
Gotcha. And Will, anything on the horizon that you're aware of?
Could you repeat the question one more time? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Does your company have any interest in supporting local high schools' information and community technology programs with apprenticeship opportunities specifically?
Yeah, so we're actually really interested in that because I feel there's a big gap right now from, you know, obviously available candidates who are interested in cybersecurity and like technology services all around. And I've seen some good candidates come from some of the younger age group these days, just because, you know, they've grown up around that technology and kind of have a little bit more of the hands-on experience. So sure. Yeah, we are actively looking at this time for some internships or kind of some hands-on lab experiments that we have with some test environments and stuff like that. So yeah, we definitely are interested.
All right, fantastic. And Natalie, how about you? Any desire at this point or interest in down the road developing any type of apprenticeship program?
Like I said, I think because our time frames are a little different depending on the designer, I think just, you know, it would be difficult to like find time, but, you know, depending on project size in the future, we may need, you know, more hands on deck, and that could always be a possibility in the future.
Fantastic. And Don, to finish this out on this particular line of questioning.
Right. So while, as I mean, we don't have apprenticeship opportunities, but what I can offer the local high schools is the opportunity to come and visit their high school, do presentations, and provide workshops in this more advanced technology area. That is the future. And there's a lot of information available out there, but I've already prepared presentations and workshop materials ready to go, and even presentations for middle school students.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. All right. And then we're just going to kind of snake back around here. So Don, stay queued up. Here's another two-part question. What are the top 3 soft skills that entry-level employees should build before getting hired? And why do you think that those 3 are the most important to have?
So I think that when students are presenting themselves to adults in the workforce, it's very important to stay calm and to listen well. A lot of times people just want to hurry up and talk, and I would like to encourage them to slow down. And then when they do speak, speak clearly and slow enough so that the person who's listening to them can understand what they're saying. So listen well and speak clearly. That's the way to have communications. And then be very organized with whatever paperwork they're doing, obviously their resume, their cover letters, their correspondence that they're having. Be very organized with that, as well as with their technical capabilities. So if they're good in a particular software language, be very organized and make sure you know what you're doing there. And why those things are important is because you want to present, the students want to present themselves to their prospective employers as a well-organized person that understands what the employer is asking them to do and can clearly communicate that they're able to do it and then actually be able to do it.
Certainly, certainly. Great. And Natalie, what would you rank as the top 3 soft skills that students should work on before getting hired, and why do you think that those 3 are the most important?
Yeah, I think that for us, time management is a very important skill because we are a remote agency and we all operate under different time restraints and different hours. Yeah, we've had situations where folks come aboard and yeah, I can manage my own time. I can work my own hours. And I think it's now that we're moving into this virtual space where increasingly more and more things happen online, I think we do have to start asking students to gauge where they work best. Do they like deadlines? Do they like a more free form way of working? Like those things are really starting to play in when we're hiring new folks. I would also say that like a critical thinking or like problem solving is really, really important for us. When we have designers come aboard, we want you to highlight what we've been doing wrong or what we could be doing easier or faster. So we're always looking for that forward thinking kind of mentality. And over communication, I would say, again, because we are remote only, we don't have face-to-face meetings. We are only in contact via Slack. So you can't just not show up or you can't just not answer. And so we really practice over communication with our clients as well. And so we would want whoever we hire next to also adopt that principle.
Fantastic, fantastic. I think those are all great areas. Chris, what 3 soft skills would you think are the most important to have?
It's a great question. I mean, I think when we make our hiring decisions, the first thing we're always looking for is attitude and aptitude is what we'll say. You know, people have to come in there and they have to have the right demeanor to kind of do IT support, especially in the security realm. Cybersecurity, you know, alert fatigue is real. There's a lot of people that have to have a positive attitude and be coming into the environment, understanding what they're getting into. And then of course, having some aptitude or good education is extremely helpful as well. So those are the first 2 things we'll look at. Beyond that, as far as soft skills, strong written communication, most of our even if it is a phone call, the documentation that comes after the phone call is as important as fixing it initially. So being able to clearly put down in, say, a case or a ticket what exactly happened, and having good, strong writing skills are there, whether it's a written communication outbound to somebody or just that documentation that takes place after, you know, an incident occurs. It's critical for both of those. And then it depends on the job from that point forward. If for instance, it's a security position, they have to understand that a lot of times the calls that they may be taking or the things that they may be doing, if it's an incident management scenario, you know, soft skills are the ability to understand that somebody's having a really bad day and you're walking them through that issue and trying to help them to resolution is something that you know, people should have some role play for before they engage in the real deal. So I think it's important from an educational standpoint to say that tabletop exercises for how to deal with things like incidents or even customer service scenarios where somebody's maybe really upset are important, so that when they get on the phone with an actual customer, even if they're new, that they don't feel threatened, that they understand how to talk somebody down a little bit, or that person is just having a bad day and they just need somebody to help them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Empathy is a very necessary skill, especially in this field. You know, my experience has been that in general, even people who are somewhat adept with technology, as long as it's frictionless, they're fine. But as soon as there starts to be that friction and it's not operating the way that they're expecting, and that frustration level starts to mount, you know, they don't want to be making that call anyway. So,
yeah,
you know,
nobody wants to call support, right? That's something they have to do because of what's going on. So
right,
a little bit of empathy goes a long way. Absolutely.
No, I can appreciate that. And Will, how about you? How would you like to chime in on this? What 3 soft skills would you say are the most important, and why?
So I would say the rest of you were just super on point with the things you guys said already. I think I just kind of more or less want to re-emphasize some of them. Patience, I think, is a really good virtue to have in this field. Again, like some of the other panelists here said, you know, these people are calling in most of the time, or the reason why they're engaging with us in this industry is because they're having a negative situation that is out of their control, that needs to be handled or delegated in a better way. And so they're basically calling or asking us to take over and, you know, remediate the issue. So I think patience is really important. Definitely a little bit of compassion as well. I don't want to sound like too heartfelt when I say that, but, you know, some of the people with like the challenges or situations that they're in will just be a little riled up. And then as well, just organization, making sure that, you know, your communication and any notes about the ticket or case that you were working on is, you know, put in a manner that someone else could read and figure out what kind of happened here. I think that's definitely really important.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I would agree with that across the board. And, you know, just to reiterate some of these, you know, communication, the ability to communicate both orally as well as in written language, keeping your organization up, being able to critical think and problem solve on the best, knowing where you are most effective as far as a productivity environment, and then also the ability to provide empathy and those soft skills. You know, I think those are all very good. We're going to flip this back a little bit now. We're going to go the other direction and go on the technical skills. What 3 top technical skills would you say are most important for students in order to prepare themselves to be hired into the workforce, at least with your organization? Will, go ahead.
So the ones I think kind of get underestimated a little bit right now, that are really, really important moving forward. I think Azure and AWS cloud technologies, moving forward, there's, you know, definitely a huge shift of on-premise technologies moving over to the cloud. And especially with COVID, I think that's put even more of a kind of a magnifying glass on the whole situation, with, you know, offices going almost completely virtual in some senses, and there needing to be more flexible solutions available for technology. So definitely the cloud stuff. The second one that is almost industry standard these days would be Office 365. At least for the technical support aspect. I would say a majority of businesses that we interact and deal with use Office 365 and the suite of products that come behind it. So at least some general administration, kind of expertise with that. And then the last one would just be the traditional Active Directory experience with being able to add, delete, and create users in like a server environment for a corporate network. I think those three things would be the most important.
All right, fantastic. Chris, what would you say are the top 3 technical skills that you would be looking for as far as Reflex is concerned?
This could be pretty on track with a little of what Will said there. We're looking for, the first one that I had on my list was Microsoft 365, including Azure and Office 365 skills. There's not a day that goes by that we're not in there working. They just have a huge part of the market at this point, and our techs, the more they know about it, the more useful they are to us. And then on the cybersecurity side, I think that's such a big area. You kind of have to have a little bit of everything in the cybersecurity field, which is why it's hard to hire for and to train for. But I'd love to see incident management. I believe Brandon from Orange Coast had mentioned that was something that they were actively working on.
Coastline.
Oh, Coastline, sorry. Yeah, and that was, definitely incident management is something that is very different in reality from what people think it's going to be when they hear it. So I do think that, training people on that and having that as a skill going into the cybersecurity space is extremely important. And then network infrastructure is something we still deal with quite a bit. It's, the cloud is somewhere that people need to get to. So, making sure the networks are strong, that they're prioritizing things, understanding what an SD-WAN is and how that works, making sure that the transport to get to the cloud is doing what it needs to be doing and the way people need to be doing it is something that I haven't heard much about today, but I do think it still plays a pretty active role in our day-to-day.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree with that. Your ability to access all the programs and the suite of services and your data, at any time and having redundancy built in so that there's not a point of failure and you've got that guaranteed uptime, I think is a really important part. Natalie, being that you're a little bit more on the social media and website communication side, how would you rank technical skills in that area as far as what you guys are looking for?
Yeah, so I'm putting in the chat a link to our careers page, which actually has like more about what we need when it comes to our WordPress developers or designers. But I will say on that side, web accessibility is of the utmost importance to us. So Jordan definitely makes sure that every developer and designer has at least an interest in web accessibility. Something about Digital Mountaineers that's really great. If you are a developer, a designer, a social media manager, whatever your job is, if you are curious and have a goal and you want to learn more about a certain area of tech, Digital Mountaineers supports that and will often fund that education. So for us, when we, for developing and designing, while you do need, some technical skill, we really do value more your life experience. Like, we don't need you to have a fancy degree. If you come to us and you've taken every course for free on HubSpot, we just want to see that you have interest and that you have mastery of the thing that you're passionate about. Because I think the passion is, our team is made up of incredibly passionate people, and the talent kind of comes second because we see each other every day and you gotta work well together. And I feel like that our passion for other things really comes together. And the technology side of it is something we can always supplement and support our employees for.
Absolutely. I 1000% agree with that. The hard skills can always be taught, but it's that passion and that interest and engagement. You have to have it there in order to want to delve so deeply into any technical information and become that expert. Don, we're going to have you just kind of conclude this. We are going to have to wrap up as the program needs to transition to the next
very
stage.
Quickly, because this is the quantum world is advanced technology, and so people entering that from high school or community colleges, they want to make sure their math skills are good. Calculus, probability, and statistics. computer programming, just Python is very good because a lot of the quantum computers are using Python. For example, IBM quantum computing uses Python. Cybersecurity, if you have some introductory information on what is cybersecurity, that's a big area for quantum computing and quantum cybersecurity. So those are the types of things I can present to high school, even middle school a little bit, community colleges, and then we have pathways, education and career pathways into this brand new field. And I'd love to be able to have Orange County be a center for that. And I'm ready to help as many people as I can understand what it is and get the information.
Right. Well, and I appreciate that, Don. I'm a huge physics nerd. I've been following everything in the developments of quantum computing for quite some time, and it definitely will revolutionize the way that we have data management here now. So as we wrap up, I would add as well that I think it's very important from a technical standpoint that students have some familiarity, at least with one type of programming language. For me, I can't say that it matters necessarily whether that's Python or whether it's HTML or even C#, CSS Cascade styles if you're doing website programming, just something that they're actually getting technically into the code, because it's just like any other language. The more that you are able to adopt that framework and learn that syntax, the easier it is to translate into other languages and start getting a lot of these core lessons about how information is actually structured within the parameters of software development, and then what needs to happen. So as I see the future of this industry evolving and going towards quantum and going towards integration and seamless operations in cloud applications, what we're really looking for is interconnectivity and interoperability between platforms. So my stake on that would be also to learn how to do data management and security specific to APIs to open up that handshake of data to pass from one application to another would be a critical skill set that students should be focusing on. I do have one question here from Brandon Brown. He didn't hear the networking in those top three. Is that now seem to be wrapped up in cloud? If yes, are the days of the Cisco Networking Academy numbered in your opinion? That is a loaded question, and I love that question. Networking skills and fundamentals are absolutely important. The internet does not exist without networks, and it doesn't matter, whether it's on-premise infrastructure or whether it's in a data center. All the cloud is, and we've been joking about this for a decade, is, the cloud is basically just using other people's computers. So, and those computers need to be able to link to each other and know how to talk to one another. Generally across the board, if there's any kind of a networking, issue, it always comes down to your DNS settings, and knowing how to troubleshoot DNS in a network environment is absolutely critical to unlocking, downtime and friction and applications not talking. So I don't think Cisco is going anywhere. They're still the top of the game. Certifications are available through organizations like CompTIA, and I know a number of organizations like the school districts already have partnerships and inroads with CompTIA for those types of licensing. But yeah, I don't think we can get away with that at all.
Loaded question, I understand. In my research and what I have seen in enrollments, at least at Coastline, the enrollments in the Cisco academies is waning, and the demand for students wanting to take AWS and Azure courses is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a limited number of classes that they can take in certificate and associate degrees. So we have to be nimble in the community colleges and pivot and find that balance. And some of us are having a hard time doing it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, network hardware and that hardcore networking, it's not the sexiest part of IT at this point. Those cloud applications are, AI is, that's where we're going. And so, there's a major push in that area, but none of it exists without computers to run it on. So great point, Aria. I know you're trying to move this along, so we're going to have you jump back in and go ahead and take us on to the next stage. Thank you all to our panelists, and thank you everyone for participating and allowing us to share some of this information for you. I hope it was of value.
Yes, thank you, Brian, and thank you, industry. Please remain on. I would like all industry, including Brian, to stay on. I'm now going to ask Miss Elaine Devlin from OCC to turn on her camera, if possible. The OTC just had some specific
Actually,
questions.
it's going to be Marianne Watson is going to do that.
Okay, is Miss Marianne here?
Yes,
I think I saw her earlier. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
it would be Marianne and Lisa Newpel.
Okay, if you could please turn your camera on, we want to be sure to highlight you all, highlight both of you, whoever is talking. And I know Miss Marion said that she needed to share her screen as well, so we're ready when you are. Thank you so much.
My sound is on, but my video,
Yeah,
the host has stopped my video.
there we go. Me too. Thank you.
Okie doke.
There's
Hi.
Marianne. Okay.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Lisa very kindly talked to VitalLink about putting this topic on the agenda. We are attempting to change a certificate at our campus. The certificate name is Business Information Worker, and I would like to change it to Office Assistant, and I would like to take the certificate program and divide it in half so that we have an Office Assistant 1 and an Office Assistant 2. The students don't know what Business Information Worker means, but if they see the name Office Assistant, that's a given. Everybody would know what that means. And so I just have very briefly a Word file. Yeah, do you think I can find that?
Well, Marianne's working on that. I think I'll throw in just a little bit of information, which is that this is in the computer information systems program area. So it falls under the purview of the industry advisory that we have today together. So it's different from the kinds of programs you all have been talking about earlier. This is, as I think the title of the program suggests, right? These are Microsoft Office skills leading to jobs more in the administrative support area than in IT or programming. Does that make sense to our industry folks? Yeah. And yeah, and we need industry advisory review and approval in order to make the changes that Marianne is proposing. So that's what we're taking your time and expertise to do today. If that makes sense. Okay, Marianne, there you go.
It simply in a short little certificate of 8 credits, which includes keyboarding and computer applications, which is Office 365 and Windows and Internet Concepts, and Excel, lots of Excel. And the second part of the certificate would be Office Procedures, Business English, and Outlook, Microsoft Outlook. So if with your approval, industry panel, we can move forward to propose this as a change to one of our existing certificates.
Out of curiosity, and I don't know how this works, but Office Assistant, obviously, the inference that I get is Microsoft Office. Is it possible to actually explicitly state that, or do you prefer to have it inferred rather than outright stated?
We have always stayed away from naming the courses. Excel is Microsoft. We have referred to the curriculum as word processing, Excel, PowerPoint. We've stayed away from Microsoft Office as when we write the description for the classes. So it doesn't, some of our students don't have Microsoft Office, and we find other ways for them to still be successful in taking our classes. So I think that's a pretty standard thing across the board with colleges. So
also, if I can, I'll throw in a little more information about this. We do at times try to stay away from naming our programs, especially after proprietary software or products. Now, and what we are doing with this title is naming the job, right? The occupation that the training will qualify a student to have. So, and typically in industry, and all of you in business probably know this, right? They don't, a job title is not necessarily, you know, Microsoft Office or limited to that, right? And these skills would apply across the board in an administrative support position. So we're thinking of the title of the program linked to the kind of job that they would be qualified to do. Does that make sense?
Certainly. Absolutely. Thank you for the clarification. I'm going to let the rest of the panel weigh in then with that. If you have additional questions, please let us know. But anyone who wants to validate or invalidate this change, please go ahead and weigh in with your opinions.
Yeah, and it would be, so it'd be 2 certificates. The region developed the title for business information worker, and we have just found that that is not something, and as industry professionals, you know, would you necessarily know what that was, you know, what that meant? No, but if you saw somebody that on their resume stated they had a certificate, you know, from Orange Coast College and Office Assistant 1 and 2, and then listed their skills, we need your affirmation. And that would make more sense and be improve their sort of employability, right, in an office assistant or administrative assistant position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, Lisa, Marianne, I think I've had an opportunity in my career to hire people with those skills for that position, and I think that makes complete sense, because if I had a person who had those skills and a certificate like that, then at least I would know they can do those skills, and it's very important.
Right. And I would concur. Well, I just spent the last 6 years chairing the Business Workforce Development Committee for the Irvine Chamber of Commerce, you know, working to bridge that gap between enterprise and education, and putting this in alignment with what is actually going on in the workforce, I think is a very smart strategic and tactical move.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we'll note that as affirmation and recommendation by our industry panel in the notes, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. Chris, did you have something you wanted to contribute there?
Yeah, I was going to say in that office assistant realm, some other skills that are kind of up and coming or are already here is maybe an understanding of Microsoft SharePoint or Slack and Teams.
Okay.
Those applications are prevalent in almost every business. Now there's maybe different versions of it, so you don't necessarily have to go with the brand name, but I'm not quite like collaboration. Something along those lines, especially in the hybrid working world, is, you know, for an office assistant is something that is just, we consider it critical now.
Yeah, Teams is what is in place even at our workplace, right? We use that commonly. So very good advice. We'll note that to maybe be added into the curriculum at some point, right? Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, great. Industry, thank you so much. I know that truly helps OCC in kind of updating their information. And I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, as well as the college panelists that did join us today. Thank you all for sharing such great feedback. Educators, I know I did get some notes in the chat. We will have this recording hopefully available and edited, ready to go out next week. And then we will have transcripts available in our CTE OC portal. And to find that, please go to our VitaLink website. It's brand new. And you'll see CTOC portal in the top right corner. And we will, if not me, then Netta will share that Google Drive folder with you so you can access all transcripts. Again, thank you all for joining us. We truly appreciate your time and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time.